So you guys know I'm just a little bit obsessed with Orca. He is a 6-drop, 9 power, ongoing, +5 power if this is your only card here. So he acts like Namor, but he's a 14 power on turn 6. I have a slight obsession with the card because I think he's very undervalued. So when cards are undervalued, I like to try to prove that they are actually worth a slot in a lot of decks and have good potential. So I've had a couple Orca videos in the past, but this one is absolutely wild and has some crazy, weird outplay like tactics. And I've been working a little bit online with Safety Blade. He's on Twitter. I'll drop his link below as well. Him and I have done some pretty fun deck building just over Twitter, just talking about some different strategies with Orca, and I think we've both become Orca lovers in one sense of the word. So Orca fits in a couple different decks, but he fits really well in this odd move deck right here. So these are the 3 key cards. Orca on 6, Heimdall, which you all should know. He's a 6-drop, 8 power on reveal. Move your other cards 1 location to the left. And then Magic. And this was another Twitter suggestion here. Magic is you can't play this on turn 6, but on reveal, change the location to Limbo, and that gives you a turn 7. So if you don't see the strategy here is play play Magic on 5, making Limbo on the board, which will make you have turn 7. On turn 6, play Heimdall, pull off all of your crazy movement shenanigans, move everything over to the left, have all this stuff happen on the board that movement decks love to happen, and then on turn 7, you will have the right location completely free and open and drop Orca on that location to put 14 power there as a surprise and win that location if you need to, if your movement only pushes everything to the left, etc. So I think one of the biggest flaws with movement decks in general is that you essentially are a little bit telegraphed. You're going to play all your stuff, and people know Heimdall's the big bad coming down at the end. You're going to play Heimdall, everything's going to get pushed to the left. Okay, so they're going to play around that. They might give you that left location. They might lock that left location down with Professor X, etc. So what you can do is kind of get around a little bit of that telegraphedness by also having a big swing on the right location with Orca. And it's really, really fun to do. You hit it a decent amount. Turn 7 lets you draw extra cards, so you get a lot of good cards. You get to see a lot of your deck, and you get to use all the good cards that you have in your deck. So I am using some generic move stuff. I'm using Human Torch, who doubles when he moves, which is great. I'm using Hulkbuster because that is really good on Human Torch in particular, because that will double when he moves, which is really solid, but it's also just good to fill up the board a little bit less. You can get a little clunky with move decks, so that helps. I'm using Iron Fist, who obviously moves something when you play it. Next, I'm using Dagger, who gets plus extra power for the things that are on the opposing side, which is fun. I'm using Cloak, which is by far my favorite move card. It essentially lets you get everything into a good position. You can move a bunch of things. It gives your opponent some options as well, but you can kind of bait and switch with this card a little bit. You can move things back to the right, so then when you do play Heimdall, things will shift, etc. Really fun card. Doctor Strange and Vulture go together really well. Moving the most powerful card to this location, Vulture will get plus 5 power every time he moves. And then I am using Absorbing Man, who will copy the last on reveal ability, which is a really fun card to use in a move deck. You can either copy Iron Fist if you play that, or you can copy Doctor Strange on turn 4 after you play Strange on 3, and then you could be doing things with Human Torch like that, which would be really fun. You could play him after you play Heimdall even on turn 7 to get extra movement if things go weird. That doesn't happen all that often, but mainly you're copying Doctor Strange, Iron Fist, and Cloak with Absorbing Man. He's a fun addition to this deck for sure. And then last but not least, I'm using Spider-Man, Miles Morales, to get a free, or relatively free, a 1-cost 5 power, just for some good extra kick in the deck. So there are a lot of other move cards. Well, there's a few other move cards that you could think about placing into a deck like this. I just think you should play around with it yourself, but I would very much say don't put Multiple Man in this deck. He doesn't fit because you don't want to fill up your locations too much, because we want to play Orca at the end. So that's the only thing I'll give you. You don't want to play Multiple Man in this deck, but try some other stuff if you like. And if you want to see some other type of cards in this deck that you like in your move decks, feel free to try them out. You could easily take out Absorbing Man if you don't have them, etc. But this deck is super fun. I'm going to show you a couple gameplay highlights. I do want to talk about real quick some of the weaknesses of the deck and some of the positives of the deck. So weaknesses up first. We gotta be cognizant of Cosmo. So Cosmo can totally shut down our on reveals, which could kill Heimdall, which could kill our Doctor Strange, etc. That's brutal. We gotta be careful of Fisk's Tower, the location that when things get moved there, they die. That's awful. Kingpin himself, awful, etc. So any of the anti-move stuff or the Professor X locking down a location, that's really bad. Good factors, pros of the deck really are it's just absolute ability to surprise people as far as a movement deck goes. I don't think a lot of people expect the magic into Orca late in the game. I think that's really fun. And it's just ability to really put out huge power. One of the biggest things with move decks is you can get your cards to massive power. And the other really fun synergy with magic in this deck is even if you don't have Orca, you don't hit Heimdall, whatever, having an extra turn to move your things even more is fantastic. Your things will only grow in power the more you move them. That's Human Torch, Dagger, and Vulture. So extra turns to move them more is a beneficial thing for this list in general. So I'm going to jump in and try to give you guys some solid gameplay of this exact deck, and hopefully you can see why the synergy is there and have a lot of fun with the deck going forward. So if you guys have any questions or have any replacements that you need, leave a comment below. I will gladly try to help you replace any certain cards that you are missing. I have a couple other ideas that I think would fit if you're missing some of these cards, so drop your comments below and let's jump into some gameplay right now. Alright, so we got Morales, Orca, and Doctor Strange, and Hulk Buster. So missing our early drops, we would like to find those as soon as possible. He's got Quinjet on his side. Let's see what we got. Alright, we got Plunder Castle, which is a great location for Orca in general. Just being able to hold that location down is pretty great. But we're still missing all of our other drops, which is not great. I'm going to go with Dagger on the left, even though it's turn 3. I'm going to go Dagger and then probably Doctor Strange Dagger over to a location where there's some people. But he hits Morales with the +1 cost, which isn't the worst thing ever. I'm probably going to Doctor Strange him still over. Actually, you know what? I'll go Human Torch here and then Doctor Strange him over this way. So let's see what that does since we drew Human Torch. Then next turn we'll have the ability to play Magic, which will give us another turn if we want it, or we can just play Morales for 1 and Hulkbuster, and then maybe just drop Orca flat in the middle and just leave him at that. That might be fine. We'll see how much power he gets out. He's got a Kazoo deck going, so a Kazar Zoo deck, so a lot of 1-drops, getting a lot of bonus power. Alright, we're bringing Human Torch over, so Human Torch is going up to a 4 power, which isn't terrible, and Spider-Man now only costs 1. Which is solid, and Plunder Castle's over there, which is interesting. So I could go Magic here. The last card I played was Doctor Strange, so it's actually pretty great. I'm going to play Absorbing Man here. It's going to pull over Human Torch and he's the strongest, and then I'm going to play Spider-Man in the middle. And we'll see how that goes for us for now. He's playing Beast, so he's bouncing people, so Collector's going to get a little extra power, but he's bouncing Kazar, too. That's a lot of... He's going to have to afford that for 3. So he's returning all the 1-drops here again. They cost the normal amount. So he doesn't have Quinjet. So he's going to play a lot of stuff. We know that. Collector is winning that location. We can't Magic. If I had Heimdall, I would have thought about Magicking. But I didn't want to do that just yet. We have Human Torch at 8 power on the left. That feels solid. I would like to win the right location as well. So if I just play Orca on the right, I should win this location, unless he returns 3 things to his hand or creates 3 things, which I don't think is going to happen. He has Agent 13, so that's probably coming down. But I should win that. But can he play enough power here to outvalue my 15? With Kazoo coming down, with Kazar coming down, and a couple others. I don't think so. And he has to also win the middle while doing that. So I'm just going to go with Orca. Obviously, Doctor Strange there isn't great. But we're just going to go ahead and play Orca on the right. It's great that he played Demon in the middle. That was his biggest power spike, so he committed a lot to the middle. He probably could have taken the left if he played Demon there. I forgot he had Demon from Hood. Not that that was the highest powered unit, but still, yeah, +6. It would have been +7 power. He could have tied that. But we take the left, we take the right, and we feel all right about it. Not terrible. We didn't get the Orca, you know, plus, +5 power. But still... felt decent being able to play Doctor Strange, Absorbing Man, and really get Human Torch up to an 8 really nicely and hold that location down. And that was with missing our 1 and 2 drop, so that was a weird game on top of it, but still a nice victory. Alright, so we got Cloak, Vulture, and Miles Morales. And we got the bar with no name. Very odd location that we'll have to play around. Maybe we'll see magic and can turn that into something that we like a little bit better. Alright, and Plunder Castle, another weird one. I don't want to play Cloak right now, so I'm going to miss my 1 and 2 drop again. I don't want to play Cloak until I actually have something worth playing first. So I'm going to go ahead and play Vulture on top of Bar with no name.
Face the might of Asgard. Mjolnir.
Alright, Thor's coming down and yelling at me. We got Vulture out. Alright, so we have a few options. We can go with Cloak on the left and Human Torch on the right. And I think that seems pretty good. We'll probably do that. We'll probably go here. The only thing is, I always want to play Cloak last. That is in case I want to copy that ability with Absorbing Man next turn as well. So he's got Lockjaw and he drew Mjolnir right away, so that's pretty good.
To me.
Alright, so we got Cloak down. We can move things to that location, which is pretty great. So we are going to go ahead and move those things to that location and get a lot of bonus power, which is pretty good. The other option now is, do I want to... I want to have the least power at Bar with no name. So I don't want to play anything there. So I want to add more power to the right if possible. So I think I'm just going to have to play Spider-Man here and then turn 6, just go Orca into Plunder Castle and see who wins that. I think that's going to be the play. He's got Vision, so he's going to also get that card somewhere. But right now I'm winning the right really well. So I'm winning the right pretty well. I'm going to drop Orca in the middle. And Orca, I think, is a pretty shocking card. Not a lot of people run him, so he'll be a nice 14 power in the middle. He might think he can get away with winning that with something less than that, which is the goal. And we're sitting at 21 power just because we moved Vulture and Human Torch once, which is pretty great. So let's see if that's enough. And he has his 0 cost here. If he drew Mjolnir again, that's going to be really bad for me. If he has that again, he could play that on top of Lockjaw and get a lot of value. Him pulling Wasp from Lockjaw was pretty huge, and why I'm staying in this game right now. We drew Magic 1 turn too late, so we couldn't play her on top of Bar with no name, or we would have. This location is pretty brutal. So we gotta see what he's gonna do. I'm not sure. If he just is gonna play a 6-drop, he's gonna play it at Plunder Castle. Alright, he's just moving Vision, so I'm gonna beat Vision easily with Orca. He's playing Arrow, but nothing can get moved there. Let's see what else he gets instead. Killmonger kills Human Torch. That could be big, but not big enough. Alright, so we still win 2 locations. Orca dominates Plunder Castle.
Victory.
He does love this location, I gotta say. He really does love that location. Alright, let's try to get some more. Alright, so we got Cloak, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Vulture. Not a terrible hand. I typically don't play Cloak, just turn 2 flat out most games. But I might, depending on what I draw. Well, I drew Iron Fist, so I'm happy with Iron Fist. I'll go ahead and drop Iron Fist here in the middle, and then I will move Vulture to the left. Alright, so we're starting to get some good stuff. So we got Heimdall, we got Spider-Man. We have a couple good options here. And New York's even a location that I like to use as well to move things there to get additional movement going, which is great. So I can Cloak on the right side, and I can play these cards here. Cloaking on the right will be nice, because I'll be able to then take Human Torch and Vulture and move them to Atlantis, before being able to switch them all back to the left after this, which is great. It's playing out like a classic move game, although we did just draw Orca, which could be fun. Maybe drop Orca on Atlantis and see how that goes. So I am going to move Vulture there and Human Torch here, and then I'm going to drop Heimdall, or Doctor Strange in the middle, which will move Vulture back to here, which is a lot of power. Vulture's going to be pretty massive. He's going to be pretty massive. And then I'm not going to be able to get everything off of New York here, so I'm probably going to drop Orca on the left side on Plunder Castle. I could also just drop Heimdall. But again, that's a little bit telegraphed. I really like when you have actually both of these 6-drops going in the turn 6. Because you have full options of whether you want to either do the full move deck thing by playing Heimdall, shifting everything to the left, and really just pushing that left location. Or you can just simply drop Orca and win the try to win the left location with a smaller number while keeping your large power in the middle or the right. So, for instance, I'm keeping a ton of power in the middle here. If I play Heimdall, I'll be shifting a lot of power to the left, which is good or bad. So there's two options, right? And I'll walk there again. I can play Heimdall here on the left, and I'll move these three things over and these two here, or I could play Heimdall on the right, which would be Heimdall by himself at Atlantis with +5 power, which is pretty good, and then I would move these things over. I would dominate the left location, but I'd have to win the middle location with just 4 and 4. That would double to 8 with 12. I don't love that. So I am actually going to go ahead and just drop Orca on the left. He'll be 14 power there, and he's moving a good bit there, so he's trying to win those two locations. So I'm not doing the Heimdall shenanigans. I'm not moving anything over. I'm just going to stick and say, okay, I hopefully can win the middle, and I hopefully can win the left with Orca. So he didn't play anything at the left, so we're going to get that. And can he beat the 28 power that Vulture put down in the middle? With the help of a few friends, but yeah. Looks like I'm going to beat it by quite a bit, at least by 8. Yeah, so by 8 power, we win that. So he's expecting, this is an exact case of why Orca is actually pretty good in this deck. He's expecting me to push things to the left. So if I would have pushed everything to the left and played Heimdall on the right, Heimdall would be by himself at 8 plus 5. He'd be at 13 power. He beats that with 18 here. The middle location would have been at 4 plus 8 would have been at 12. Okay, I lose that as well. So I lose 2 locations, it's over, and I dominate the left. Well, you can bait that out by just playing Orca. I'm still going to win the left easily, and I can keep my main power in the middle. 2 different scenarios. Now, if he would have had things to the left side and I wanted to do Heimdall, I could have played that and pushed things there. I didn't need to in this instance. All I needed to do is drop Orca and let this giant Vulture win the middle location. Pretty good example of why Orca is really fun in this move deck. Let's try to get another game going, though. Alright, so we got Cloak, Magic, Doctor Strange, and Orca, and we got Fisk Tower. So our aim is to play Magic on top of that, because again, this location kind of destroys what I want to do in this deck. Just destroys move decks in general, but it is what it is. Alright, so we got Human Torch, which is pretty good. So we'll go Human Torch to start. We'll start by playing the cards over there. That's fine. We're going to move them to the right. So I'll go Human Torch and the Doctor Strange, unless I draw something else that's pretty interesting. That is interesting, but I'm not as excited about it, so I will shift Doctor Strange over here to the Eternity range and get a rock on my opponent's side of the board, hopefully. We'll see what he played, whether it's Killmonger or... No, he played Electro Art, so he's going to want to destroy that whole location, probably with a Carnage or something along those lines. I've got Dagger, which is pretty good, so I can't move things into this location still, so I gotta be careful of that, because that could ruin me. So we're really waiting to play Magic here, is the big thing. So I don't even really want to play these cards. So I think I'm actually going to go Dagger and then Iron Fist. Iron Fist is going to be a little bit wasted here. I'm just playing these to set up a possible move for next turn. So they're just going to be there. Alright, so we're definitely going to play Magic here. We have to play her on turn 5. They changed her. If you haven't played Magic in a while, if you don't play her on turn... you can play her any turn, not technically just turn 5, but you can't play her on turn 6. Because you won't get that limbo effect. So we're going to do this to change the location, give us another whole round here. So we still got 2 rounds to go. Hopefully we see Heimdall. That would be great if we can get Heimdall, and then we can play Orca as well. If we don't, we still have some options. Alright, so we're going to set up the movement shenanigans this turn, I believe. So I'm going to go with Cloak and Vulture over here, and then we're going to go for Orca in the middle at the end. So we're going to at least have some movement shenanigans, although Plunder Castle is kind of ruining a lot of that movement shenanigans that I want to do, but that's okay. Alright, so I can move Vulture here, who will be a 8 power, or I could move Human Torch, who would be an 8 power. But moving Vulture is +5, moving Human Torch is only 4, so it's better power to do that. That'll put me up to 14 on the left, which is temporarily winning the left. The right side, I will have... And again, the best thing about this deck is he's probably expecting Heimdall. So he's probably expecting me to win the middle location somehow, right? So he might go pretty hard here, but I'm really going to actually just move Vulture and play Orca here. So I'm going to get plenty of power in the middle, still be winning the right by a good bit, and potentially be winning the left. So his options here are a little limited. He might feel okay, but I feel really good as well. I would probably snap in this game if I was you guys. I don't really snap in my videos, just so I don't get a lot of retreats, so we can actually see the game play out. So knock on wood, let's hope not for a retreat at this point, and let's hope we can play this one out and see if it works. So I should have 17 power on the left, which is pretty great, and then I should have only 8 power on the right, which is still winning by 7 at that point, and then the middle, if he doesn't play another 6-drop, I'm going to win it by 5, which feels great. I feel like I'm putting good pressure on each location, which is pretty key to Marvel Snap, but also pretty key to this deck in general. You want to be able to win any location and shift where you want to go at any times. Now, he can move his things to the left to Limbo as well. Remember, I did play Cloak, so this flowing location means he can do that. So he just commits to the left. Again, probably expecting a big Heimdall move, or maybe me to move a bunch of stuff, but I'm just going to play Orca in the middle, win Plunder Castle, because that's kind of what Orca does. Win the right side, because he didn't commit anything to it, and we're good. And he didn't really have a whole lot of options. Death can't be played in the middle, so he could have played Death on the right to win that. But if he's minus 12 here, he's at, what, 14 power, so we win the left. Can't play anything in the middle. Kind of had to pick what he wanted to do, and didn't really have any good options based on what he played. So that's exactly how the deck is supposed to work. You obviously didn't see Magic into Heimdall, into Orca in this video, but Magic into just playing Vulture and Cloak is really good. It gives you a lot of shenanigans that you can pull off next turn, and then Orca dropping down at the end to win the final location, getting the victory. This deck is super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because it personally is probably my favorite deck I've made so far. I know it's just a generic move-looking deck, but I'm telling you, adding Orca into this does wonders for the deck. It's super fun. If you have Orca, you gotta try this deck. Please do. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys have been playing lately in Marvel Snap, what you guys want to see more of on the channel, and as always, keep on snapping.